Welcome to the Newton County Insider Podcast, where the outsider gets the inside scoop on all things Newton County and the surrounding areas. So today on the podcast, we got the Newton County Sheriff here with us. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate the opportunity.
I'm excited. So just want to kind of kick things off with you kind of telling me about yourself.
Well, my name's Shannon Cothran, Newton County Sheriff. I've been with the county. This is actually my 32nd anniversary that I've been with the county. 25 of that has been with the sheriff's office, and my third year as sheriff.
Wow. How often does a sheriff get elected in Newton County?
In Indiana, it's a 4-year term, and you can have 2 terms.
Oh, there's a max to it.
Yeah. In Indiana, we're one of the few states that actually has a term limit.
You did not know that.
Right.
Okay. So if you want to expand, maybe what does the next step look for you? Say you get 8 years in, and what would that look like?
So this is my third year of my first term.
Okay.
So obviously I hope that I get my second term.
Absolutely.
So basically you have 8 years to get it done.
Okay.
So you hit the ground running. You try to accomplish as much as you can in 4 years with goals for the next 4 years after that, because in a total of 8 years, you're done.
Yeah.
And you'd have to sit out at least 1 4-year term. So usually in Indiana, they'll do 2 terms, and that's it. That's all the law allows.
Okay. So say you run, you get reelected, and at the end of the 8 years, is it retirement, or do you look for something different, or is that too far in the future?
In an ideal world and a big dream, I'd love to do a food trailer.
Okay. Hey, you piqued my interest there. You can ask my wife. This ain't a lie. I love to cook, and I would love to do it as well. I think it'd be so fun.
Yeah, it would just be very difficult to try to survive on that alone.
Yeah.
Especially with the seasons that we have.
Yeah. Longer winters.
I spent most of my Saturday food prepping for the week, and I was very content.
Okay. That's awesome. What's your favorite thing to cook?
Anything outside. I do mostly wood fire cooking.
Oh, yeah.
So charcoal, hickory, cherry, and anything over the open fire or smoker. I don't have a pellet grill. I know everybody loves them. I don't have one.
Mine actually quit working on me the other day, and I really wished I had one that didn't require electronics. And it was right in the middle of cooking a brisket, so it was rough.
Yeah, ribs would probably be my favorite thing to cook, but brisket's right up there too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I like it. So been in law enforcement 32 years, you said?
24 with the sheriff's office.
Okay. Wow. It's a long time. It's a good career.
It is.
That's great. Well, we'll dive into the next question then. What is the day in the life of the Newton County Sheriff like?
5:30 in the morning, I get a page from dispatch of anything that's active at that time. So if there's any road hazards or anything that we need to get out to the people that are trying to get to work or whatever, gives us an opportunity to get that out. From there, it's get to the office and see where we're at for the day. And you don't want to spend your day in the office, and I'm not an office person. And sometimes I don't want to use the word anxiety, but if I'm sitting in the office too long, I start getting anxious. I'm a road cop, and I want to go out and be out. But I found that the longer you stay in the office, the longer you keep staying in the office, because stuff just keeps happening. The phone keeps ringing, people keep coming in, and the only way to get out is to finally just draw a time frame to say, okay, I got to leave. And I'll go out. I still take calls. I still cover crashes. I still stop cars. Not as much as I'd like, but there's only so many hours in a day. And then, I try to keep my radio on most of the time. And if I hear the guys are busy and something comes out, it's not uncommon for me to go out and take something for them so they don't have to mess with it.
That's great. So if you had to put a percentage to it, if you can anyway, 50-50 as far as office work to field time, or what would be the ideal balance for you?
The ideal balance would be a 50-50, but it's more probably 80-20.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky.
Yeah. So in my job, I'm in leadership for the company I work for, and I'm the same way. It feels like I'm in the office way more than I'd like, and it really does just take getting out and going. Like you just have to tell yourself, like, all right, this can wait. I'm going out there,
Right.
And
And, we have computers in the cars and stuff, so you can still do your email and your phone calls
that's great.
and stuff like that. But it's just a matter of getting out of there. Of course, we got a jail to run too.
Yeah.
So there's always something happening in the jail.
That's down in Kentland, correct?
Right.
Okay. So how many deputies do you have?
We have 14.
14. Okay.
Yeah.
And on an earlier podcast, I covered the square miles. Is it close to 100?
400.
400. There you go.
Yeah. 402 square miles to cover, 14 deputies, chief deputy and myself.
Okay.
So a total of 16.
Wow. Busy. Not a slow moment in your life, I imagine.
Probably not.
Well, over that long career, what's been the biggest change for you?
Technology.
Okay.
Obviously, that's going to be the bigger one. When I started, I believe we had just gotten laptops.
Okay.
And the idea was to do your reports on your laptop, which basically meant you open up a Word document and you could do your narrative. We just got digital cameras, which were the floppy disk cameras.
Okay.
And you were really excited if you could get 10 pictures on a floppy disk.
Ooh.
So obviously the technology's changed. We don't even issue cameras anymore because we issue cell phones, and your cell phone's got a better camera than anything else. So, and with wireless internet, we're on a computer aided dispatch, so everything's right there on your computer map system. I remember you had to write down the address, and you had to know where you were going, and there was no map assistance and stuff like that, which was cool. But the technology is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, body cameras, the car cameras, everything.
Yeah, I started testing body cameras, I want to say 2014.
Okay.
And we tried a couple and decided to go with one. And we were one of the first in the area to do a mandatory wear and use policy. So 2015, which is now 10 years. Can you believe that?
That's a long time, right? It flies by.
10 years ago, we went mandatory wear and use. So we've been using body cameras for 10 years.
Wow. That's a long time. That's a decade.
Yeah. Yeah. In my mind, when people talk about 20 years ago, I'm thinking 1974. Yeah. It's not quite like that anymore.
It's crazy. And I think that technology the pace that technology is going at.
I think it's scary. AI, I don't even want to get into that, but it's scary.
Yeah. It's powerful.
And of course that as beneficial as it presents a lot of problems too.
Absolutely.
Because the Snapchat, all the social media sites that teens are using, that just creates a whole new environment that 10 years ago, you didn't even think about it.
Yeah. So the challenges shift, right? Like I know when I was growing up and I'm 36 years old now. And when I was in high school, I was 14 and I got a cell phone, and it had a camera on it, but there was no social media. There was no internet on it. And, when I was in college, there was kids that were starting to get in trouble. They're getting busted for minor in possession and things like that because they were taking pictures of it and putting it on social media. Right. And so just all that to deal with, I'm sure is a unique challenge, or was. We're well into it now.
Yeah. In fact, I remember in the days of the flip phone, I was in Arizona and took a picture of a tarantula and sent it to my brother, who had to pay 50 cents to get it.
Yeah.
And he opened it up, and of course it's a little tiny 1x1 screen, and he's like, "This is a spider. What's your point?" So yeah, that has presented a lot of challenges with the benefits.
Yeah.
But technology would probably be the number one thing that's changed the most.
Yeah, I can certainly believe that. Yeah, and I'm just trying to think out loud here. When you think pros and cons of technology, and do you think it's sped the job up, or do you think it's added to the job?
Both. So when I remember when I started, we had some bag phones.
Oh yeah.
But you couldn't use them because you were charged for them.
Oh.
So they were provided as kind of an emergency type thing only.
Okay.
And that was when payphones were going on. So dispatch would need you to call on the phone, and I'd go to J&J's at Samava, where they had a outdoor phone booth. Go in there and get the phone number, call dispatch on the radio and say, "Okay, you call me at this number. because I wasn't going to put money into the payphone, and then
Yeah.
they would ring in, and that's how we do it. So it's sped up a lot, and that those steps and that time is no longer spent. But on the flip side of it, you're probably in the same way. You can be sitting at home and look up best way to smoke a brisket, and the
Yeah.
next thing you know, it's 11 o'clock at night, and you're like, "Where did the last 3 hours go?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no doubt. That's good. Um, well, I think we'll shift gears here a little bit with the time of year that we're facing right now, and me being new to the area and to the state. Last year around this time frame when we moved in, I think from November through January, it was constant cloud cover. It rained off and on, fog, all that good stuff, some snow, and it was rough. It was quite the adjustment. I came from Nebraska. We get snow, we get rain, we get sunshine.
mhm.
And a long time ago, I learned about seasonal effect syndrome. And the research I did, it says about 5% of adults get impacted by this, and it lasts for about 40% of the year when you get impacted by it. Do you see any of that? And what kind of impacts does that have for you and your team?
So seasonal depression, I think, is a very real thing, and I know several people that love to garden and be outside, and they spend the majority of their decent weather outside. So when this season hits, they don't know what to do, and they're not doing the things they want to do. So you get into that seasonal depression thing. Um, that of course creates some issues, and people get bored.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not picking on anybody's family dynamics, but sometimes husband and wife don't get along, if you can believe that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you're cooped up in the same house in the same room for the majority of 3 or 4 months, we kind of wear on each other's nerves a little bit.
Yeah.
And what's the escape?
Right. Yeah. Even my kids have been out on Christmas break here recently, and as most kids are, and you can see it in them. And I don't see it in the form of depression, but I see it in the form of too much energy, no way to escape and burn it off.
Right. And around this area, most of the people my age can remember when it snowed, we got snow,
Yeah.
and you could go out and play in the snow, build forts and do stuff. And now it's just cold, winter, nasty, yucky, and there's nothing you can do out.
Yeah.
You can't go out and build a fort in what we got out there. It's just wet and miserable.
Yeah. And, there's a sled hill over here just
Mhm.
east of town on the edge, and my kids want to go sled on it. And since we've been here, we really haven't had enough snow to even go use it.
Right. Right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And I don't want to make the comparison, but I'm going to. Think about chickens.
Yeah.
When it gets dark, they don't produce like they're supposed to. They go through the same thing as a seasonal change.
Yeah.
So we're not much better than the chickens in that
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah. And so you do see a call increase during this time of years?
Yeah, I mean, typically, and again, not to be picking on anything or trying to be funny, but it's a realistic thing that a lot of people have spent the last 2 or 3 weeks to a month with each other, and like I said before, we're starting to wear on each other's nerves, and tempers get a little bit flared, and
Yeah.
again, we don't have that escape.
Yep. And mix alcohol into that, and it's just fuel for the fire, probably.
Sure.
Yep. All right. I think we'll shift gears again here. Not too long ago, maybe a month or so ago, I was scrolling Facebook and came across a deal on Newton County, Indiana, in the know, and someone was talking about a sheriff's app that was around. Ended up downloading it. A lot of information on there. What all can you tell us about that?
I love the app. Actually, as we talk about it, I'm going to pull mine up because I don't want to forget anything.
Okay.
But you can get it. It's free, obviously, through the App Store or Google Play or whatever your preference is. And a lot of counties have some variation or it's the same program, the sheriff app, and then you just select for Newton County. And we're trying to use that more and more. I'm not saying that we're going to get away from social media, but the benefit of the sheriff app is if, say, there's a crash out here at the intersection, I can put that out and it goes to your phone and it's going to ding saying, "Hey, there's something going on."
Oh, wow.
And you'll get that basically immediately from the time I send it out. Versus if it's put on social media, well, are you on it at that time? Do you happen to scroll to that point? Did it hit your interest, before you find out about it? So we started the sheriff app a little over a year ago, I think.
Okay.
And so there's a contact button that gives our phone numbers and information such as that. There's a welcome message, and then we can get into the features of the app. Um, there's alerts, weather, and everybody on their phone has probably 3 different weather apps. I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
to say that the one that we use is any better than any of the rest of them, but it's on there. Um, One thing we've been trying to tweak, so our weather notifications are directly hooked up with the National Weather Service. So when they send out a notice, it hits our app and the alert goes out,
Oh, okay.
which is fine until it's 2 o'clock in the morning and it's been raining for 2 days and it's going to flood.
Yeah.
And at 2 o'clock in the morning, you start getting all these flood notices and flash flood notices. And people, fortunately, have been comfortable enough with me to let me know that, hey, this isn't working. So some of those we can tweak, and like the flash flood alerts, I think I've got those shut off so that you don't get that 2 o'clock in the morning wake up for those type of alerts. The other things that are on here, submit a tip, which does ask for an email and contact information, but you don't have to give it. You can leave an anonymous tip. There's some options for your name, your phone number if you want to be contacted, and then basically your paragraph or narrative of what it is you're submitting a tip about. And it's important to note that that is not for active information.
Okay.
Not the way you report an active crash, crime, domestic. Don't do it through the app. But that comes to me through email, and we'll filter through those and get them out and distributed to where they need to go. With that, if a person wants to be contacted, maybe get updated on, hey, whatever happened with that. Well, then you kind of need to provide your contact information.
Right.
If you don't, then you're not going to get any updated information on what happened with your tip or where that's the current status of that. From the submit tip, there's a most wanted section, which a lot of people would look at that thinking, oh, we should see all the warrants and stuff like that. I don't want to overuse that.
Okay.
So we use it when it's extremely important, so that it's not just another thing. Because if everything was on there, then you wouldn't be alerted to, hey, there's something that, they don't use this very often. So if they did, it's pretty important.
Yeah, it's like looking at an alarm or something on the dash of your vehicle. If it's constantly there, pretty soon you start to ignore it.
Yeah, exactly.
Real quick on that. So the Orange County incident that just happened in southern Indiana,
right.
Did you all put anything out for that? Or was it too far away?
It was, southern Indiana was a little bit too far away for us to put stuff out locally. I mean, we shared the information on the officer because obviously he needs a lot of prayers.
Yes.
But as far as the wanted information, and again, every time I open social media, even if I wanted to put something out there, it was already out there 10 times before I could get to it.
No, fair enough.
So there's also jail information. If you have a loved one in jail, how to do the visitation, bonding, clothing information, commissary information.
Nice.
Inmate search, which is really kind of interesting because in theory, once a person's booked into our facility, within about 15 minutes, their mugshot, if you will, their picture and information would show up as in custody.
Okay.
Now, that's if the other 2 servers are working together.
Okay.
Because essentially it's kind of a remote service that depends on 2 other servers to everybody be working together to get that information. So they for lack of a better definition, they tap us every 15 minutes to get us any updates or anything that's going out. And I think it was Christmas Day. One, if not both of the servers that aren't ours, they're other vendors. Theirs went down probably for maintenance because it was, holidays. And so some things didn't get on there then.
Yep.
But in an ideal world, about every 15 minutes, that would update. One feature that I really like is the sex offender information on that. I don't know if you've opened that up.
I have.
As we're talking, I'm going to open that. And when you open that sex offender, it will give you the map of Newton County and start putting the red tags, balloons, pins, whatever you want to call them, on there for different areas of the county, so that you can see if there's anyone in your particular area. You can click on the name, find out who they are, what all the information is. And this is not I mean, it's the National Sex Offender Registry. This is not something that we're putting out there that isn't available in 14 different other locations, but it's really nice to have it on one app in one location. And that one it's updated quite frequently as well.
Okay.
The other feature on here is patrol request, which we get quite a few of those. People are going on vacation. They're going to, grandma's in Ohio for Christmas break, and they want us to do some extra patrols around their house. The form, obviously on that one, you have to list your address and your contact information, but it asks for things about, is there, alarm system? Is there any vehicles left in the driveway? Stuff like that. So that when the guys are driving, and when I say guys, it's guys and gals. It's a 100% used generic term of guys, deputies, I should say. If they notice anything, that one's getting used quite a bit. We get, especially this time of year, we get a lot of extra patrol requests.
That's a cool feature. I didn't know that's what that did. That's good.
And if you, stop signs, or, you have a speed issue in your neighborhood or whatever, you can say, hey, when you guys get some time, can you come out and give this area a little extra attention too? And we have applicant information and news and events. So the news and events section on that, if we have a press release or something like that, I can put it on there, and I have the option to basically ding your phone to say, hey, there's something that we just posted. So if it's a blog, if you will, or just a press release, I don't ding anybody's phone on that. When they search it, they'll find it. But if it's crash information, things like that, I will hit the alert users, and their phones will ding to let them know that, hey, there's a crash or whatever. And again, that's something that we try not to overuse, because we don't want you to get too used to it or whatever. But and then something that we've recently set up, which isn't going to affect the public one way or the other, but now I have the deputies in a group on that where I can send them notices off of that instead of sending a group text message or individual messages or whatever. I can hit them all on the app, and it goes straight to their phones. And then I have another group set up for all our reserves, the town officers, basically all law enforcement within the county, that we can send stuff out to them if we need to. And I'm working on one for the schools where I can get the school superintendents, principals, if they want anything that pertains to the schools, we can hit them in one time. Because if we have something now, it's a bunch of text messages to try to get everybody contacted, and then I can just send it out and it hits everybody. And I think what we're probably going to do is put both schools on the same notification, because there are so many families that have kids or grandkids or whatever in both school corporations.
Yeah.
So we're just going to do both at one time. So the Sheriff app, again, it's free. We use it to the point that I hope we don't overuse it, but use it for when it's necessary.
And I just noticed down at the bottom, there's I've never clicked that button, that social media button down there by the weather.
Right.
And so that takes you directly to your Facebook posts and stuff then.
Well, yes, that link will take you there, but I don't have it set up where, because again, maybe this is just in my mind, I just don't want to overuse anything.
Yeah.
So you can choose to go look at it, but it's not set up to post from one to the other simultaneously.
Yeah. Okay. I'll jump back to the submit a tip thing. So you talked on the anonymous thing, and I'm going to put a plug in there. And if I'm way off base, please correct me. But if you're going to submit anonymously, make sure it's very detailed about what you're talking about, right? Because there's no way to follow up and ask somebody questions for more detail that may be pertinent to it.
Right. And I'm going to add to that, which probably isn't appropriate either, but to use that to admonish us or cuss us out, or call me. If you got something you want to, I'm serious.
Yeah.
If you have something that's bothering you that much, unless you just really want to be the anonymous keyboard warrior, okay, well then have at it. But if you really have a problem you want a solution to, I'm pretty much available most of the time. Give me a call. Let's talk it out. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah, if it's a real problem, you want to know about it so you can address it, right?
And I do understand that sometimes people just want to vent.
Yeah. Okay,
well, I see that on social media all the time.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you're not immune to that, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, that's tough. No, I think the app's fantastic. Thanks for giving that deep dive into it. Yeah, a lot of features that I didn't realize that it did. That patrol request, I think, is pretty neat. That's a nice feature there.
Yeah.
So something you were touching on there, Sounds like, with the county, you guys cover everything, and I'm familiar ish with how Nebraska's law enforcement works. Can you dive into a little bit here? And I'm not asking you to speak for like Dustin and what he does for the community in Morocco, but can you talk how that relationship works? And is there any functionality? So, like, say I submit a patrol request. Is it going to be you tapping Dustin saying, "Hey, do you have capacity?" Or what does all that look like?
Right. So if we get a patrol request that is in an incorporated town, which we have Brook, Kentland, Goodland, and Morocco. Mount Air is also an incorporated town, but they don't have a town marshal.
Okay.
So any of these incorporated towns, in fact, we just had one the other day that involved one of the incorporated towns. So when I send that out to the deputies, that town marshal is first on that list because it's their town. They need to know about it. And the resident just used our avenue or this vehicle to get to us, and we'll make sure that it goes to the town as well.
Okay.
And I think we're very blessed. Me personally, I'm very blessed with some of the best deputies that I've come in contact with. They're phenomenal. I'm not trying to be silly, but I am their biggest fan.
Yeah.
They do a phenomenal job. And let's face it, we just talked about the seasonal weather stuff. Midnights on these holidays lately, and these long, cold, boring, lonely shifts.
Yeah.
They can wear on you.
I bet.
And, the deputies go out there and do it night after night.
Yeah.
And I really respect them. But the point I'm trying to get at is we have that same working relationship with the town marshals too. Nothing's a secret. We try to communicate as much as we can, and especially if it's involving something in their town, they need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when I talked to Dustin, I hope he don't mind me saying this, but I think he has a great relationship with you guys, and big fan of your guys's. And I shouldn't say I see you guys driving around, and if he's not on duty, it seems like you guys are keeping an eye on the town for him, and I think he appreciates that. That's great. So next question I got here for you is, what do you and your department, the deputies, I mean, they live in the county too, right? And what do you all do to build trust and enhance that relationship in the communities where you live and work?
I don't care who you are or what your backstory is, you still deserve some respect. Okay. And I understand that tempers flare, and, we all get off on the wrong foot once in a while, but we have to recognize that, hold on, maybe we got off on the wrong foot. Let's try this again. We do everything we can to treat people with respect. But it's only going to go so far. I can, just like you and I sitting here talking, we can respect each other until we don't.
Right.
And then we can take a step back and try it again, or just get to the point where we have to agree to disagree. However, we still have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, that does kind of make it tough once in a while.
Yeah.
But if you treat people with respect, our corrections officers, they all know, and they learn that, that inmate has made a mistake. That's what they are. And let's face it, in a local jail, a lot of these, actually only about 10% are local people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A lot of our inmates, if you look at the app of, who's coming in and out, they're not names that you're going to recognize. They're people that have been hit on traffic stops or warrants or whatever. But regardless of where they're from, they're still people. Somebody still loves them. They made some mistakes. They're sitting in jail. There's no reason to ridicule them or treat them with disrespect. And I think that in itself goes a long way. But, at the same time, when I walked in here tonight, if you would have started yelling at me and cussing at me, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now.
Yeah, no doubt. So you hit on something there that's pretty interesting to me. So about 10% roughly is what sits in the jail locally, like from a local community here. In Nebraska, one of the towns I lived in, the jail there actually got paid by bigger cities to take inmates and stuff. Mm-hmm. Does Indiana do some of that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. However, we quit doing that a long time ago because we would take Department of Corrections inmates, and we would house them, and the DOC would basically pay us a rate to house them.
Yeah.
And those inmates had some experience. They knew how to destroy your plumbing and mess with your electricity and stuff like that. So it just wasn't worth it. Because we used to house, I mentioned it to Dustin one of these days. He'll tell you that jail was full, and we had a lot of DOC inmates. And when we did away with that several years ago, we're a 77 bed facility, and we're running 50, 60, something like that.
Okay.
we can remember days that there were 90 people in there,
Wow.
and we were a little overcrowded, and you wait for people to get sentenced, transport them out, all that. But yeah, I think the respect saves a lot of problems, and even though if I come in contact with you on a any type of call, whatever it's going to be, here locally, we have to remember that, okay, I may not know you, but I probably know somebody you're related to.
Hmm.
And we just have that natural neighborly thing, I
Yeah.
guess. But what's scary about that, and you can look at, any news outlet you want to, is the number of officers that are assaulted, or attacked or whatever. So yeah, we have to watch for officer safety too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I got a question a little later on. We can maybe dive into that a bit more. Because that's a real thing, right? I
That's
mean,
a
they're
very
human. They got a family that loves them too at home, right? And
right.
they want to go home too. Yeah, safety, public safety, all that's important. And yeah, it's a real thing. I'm curious how much of an impact. Like, I feel like Newton County sits in a unique spot. Um, with the major highway not too far off of a major interstate, and sandwiched kind of in between two big cities. Do you see a lot of crime that comes through? Is that why that other 90%'s there, or is it just
Yeah,
happenstance from county to county?
I think that's fairly accurate. 41 is a major thoroughfare from Evansville to Chicago. We get a lot of Illinois traffic going across. Let's face it, 65 for one reason or another seems to be shut down about every other day for a
Yeah.
2 to 10 mile stretch. So a lot of people are detoured off. They get onto 41, and like me, they say, that's not such a bad road. It may take me 15 minutes longer, but I don't have to deal with a racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
So they may use it because of a detour, but then it starts to become their normal route.
Oh.
So, I go to Plainfield for the academy enough that I quit going on 65. I'll go a different route, and it does take me about 15 minutes longer, but I'm in a much better mood when I get there because I haven't had to deal with all the traffic on 65.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's a good point. We're habitual creatures, right?
Right.
Yeah, no doubt. Anything else you want to share on that? I guess let me ask you a little more of a pointed question. So, do you do any so I'm going to he's probably going to hate me for using his name so much, but I absolutely love the fact that Dustin's sitting at the school in the morning
Mhm.
and he's sitting there in the afternoon when the kids are dropped off and picked up. And to me, that's community outreach. That's building trust with the kids, the family members, all that, right? Even if you did have a run in with them, I'm sure you want them there protecting your kid, right?
Right.
Do you all do anything, maybe not specifically that, but any public events or any interaction with the youth or anything?
Well, let's start with the school patrols. So, as far back as I can remember, it's always been sheriff's office policy that we do school patrols in the morning and in the afternoon. Now, granted, we don't have 15 officers working a shift. So, whether they're, and it depends on whatever call they may be coming off of and what school they're closest to. So, they may be at an elementary school versus at the high school. And, there's different schools of thought of, do you work the roads around the school for traffic safety, or do you work in the parking lot for whatever shenanigans might be going on in the parking lot?
Right.
And I'm not going to argue one or the other. As long as you're out there, somewhere, that's what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that in the mornings and the afternoons as well.
Okay.
And a lot of the schools, between sports and other activities, afternoon stuff, there's not a great deal of afternoon traffic sometimes because of all the afternoon activities. But in addition to that, I couldn't even tell you what year it was, but we started what I call the Lunch Buddy program.
Okay.
And we worked it out with the school superintendents that were welcome to go into the schools during their, and we all have their lunch schedules.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go in the elementary schools and hang out with the kids at lunchtime. Not every day, when we can, when it works out. And it depends on what they're having for lunch. If it's taco day, they're probably going to have some officers there. But they go hang out with the kids. It starts to build some rapport and some relationships with the kids. Typically, we'll do that in the elementary schools. High schoolers really don't care if they see us or
Right.
not. They probably don't want us there. But we do that, and for me personally, it's kind of a selfish because if you had a rotten day, go hang out with some third and fourth graders because they're glad to see you.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of selfish on that end that it kind of builds,
Lifts you up.
yeah, it does. It gives you that little morale boost that you need to go back out there and do it again. So, yeah, a lot of the guys will do some lunch buddy stuff with the younger kids in the elementary schools. Um, our reserves are phenomenal about working games, whether it's basketball or football or whatever the season is. And they try to have as much interaction with the youth as they can during those games, as well as provide security at the games and be there. If somebody in the parking lot and they bump nasties in the parking lot and they need a crash report, they don't have to wait for an officer to get there. Somebody's there working the games.
Yep.
But in addition to that, we have a lot of our officers have kids in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always kind of had a standing policy that, if your kid's playing basketball tonight and you're working, go work the game.
Yep.
And you're not going to be able to stand there for all 4 quarters or whatever, but you can go in there and see your kid play for a little bit, and I think that's very beneficial.
Yeah.
It keeps your officers' morale up a little bit because they don't miss everything. Let's face it, they're working nights and weekends and holidays, and they miss enough the way it is.
Yep.
So if we can work something out where you can go catch a little bit of your kid's baseball game, have at it.
Yeah. Adds that work-life balance for sure.
Well, it is, and that kind of grows into even when they don't have kids playing, they still want to. We'll stop by we're not inundated with restaurants around here,
Mm-hmm.
so where's the best place to eat in the summertime? Baseball concessions.
Yeah.
So a lot of them have gotten into that habit where they'll stop by a baseball game to grab a cheeseburger or a hot dog or whatever and have dinner and talk to people and boogie on to the next call.
Yeah. One of your deputies that I know, not sure what his rank is with you all, but he actually coached one of the teams down there at Goodland for the fall ball, and it was cool to see him around. And I think there was another person involved with the sheriff's department that coached another team as well.
Yeah, we're actually really lucky there. We've in fact, we probably need to address it again. We did a community service award for the officers that they get a uniform pen that they're involved in youth sporting programs. Whether they're a coach for baseball, we have guys that coach baseball. Some do wrestling. I don't think we have any. Some do football. I don't think we have any basketball coaches. But yeah, so we try to recognize them for that because even though they're doing that because they want to, it benefits us as a department as well because they're involved with the youth, and that's somebody that the kids know and can trust, and they see him as Coach so and so, not just an officer.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I was hearing something about a youth service program. Is that something that ties into with community engagement and all that?
We're getting there.
Okay.
So this is, one of those things you wake up at 2:00 in the morning thinking, how can we do something different? How can we do something better? How can we try something new?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where this develops from, is that 2:00 in the morning thought. And what we came up with is a Newton County Sheriff's Service Program, service being an acronym for sheriffs encouraging responsibility, values, and involvement through community engagement.
Okay.
So SERVICE. And what this is, we're getting this off the ground now. We had hoped to do it over the late summer and fall, but a lot of things happened and we weren't able to do that. So we're trying to get this kicked off the ground now, and it's kind of geared towards 13 to 18-year-olds. This is not a cadet program. It is not a police explorer program. It's a how do you get involved in your community program.
Okay.
I talked to 91 other sheriffs throughout the state, and I've had other sheriffs tell me that, hey, I don't know who we're going to get to run for auditor or whatever the office is.
Yep.
Because nobody wants to do it. The private sector pays more. They don't want to work for the county government. There's just that lack of interest and lack of service. Some town boards, not necessarily here. Again, I talk to sheriffs all over the state. They're having difficulty finding people to run for town boards because they don't want to be involved. Not a lot of people are like you that say, hey, this is a cool community and I want to be involved. A lot of them have. And that's the other part of this problem is, whether it's this board or that board, there are people that will do that, and they have done it for years, and they're tired.
Yeah.
and they're ready to give their seat up for somebody else that,
Yeah.
they know, I just came off of one board because I'd been on it for 9 years, and I recognize, hey, it's time for new ideas and new blood.
Yep.
So step aside and let somebody else in there. And so a lot of communities and boards and stuff like that are starting to lose people or not be able to find people in the first place because those that have done it are tired, and those that haven't done it don't know about it, don't know how to get involved. So I kind of got off track there, but the idea is, again, design 13 to 18 years old, how to get involved in your community, how to volunteer. And again, this is all, what does it look like in my head, because we haven't put it into play yet. But if I can get a group of youth, kids, whatever you want to call it, to help us out in the fair booth, we'll give them some cool T-shirts, and they can help pass out stuff in the fair booth. Maybe volunteer at the fair to go help pick up trash or whatever. This is not a service program because of discipline. This
Right.
is a service program because you want to serve.
Yeah.
Um, this is also, again, in the big picture, going to help them to develop their resume,
Yeah.
that when they apply for college or a job or whatever it is they're going to do, that they can say, hey, yeah, I volunteer here, I volunteer there. And that's a big thing for employers.
Absolutely is.
Um, in addition to the volunteering thing, I'm hoping that it gives them some good contacts, so that, a kid looking for a summertime job, I get adults that call me and say, hey, anybody would be good at
Yeah.
helping me clean up my yard. And it's just a good way to give some kids that want to be involved, give them some exposure, give them a chance to build a resume, to give them, just start building their life, give
Yeah.
them some exposure. Um, we hope to, and again, I say hope because I'm trying to put pieces together. But if we can get this group together, say every other month for something, maybe we'll have a judge come and talk to them today about, the judicial system, the
Yeah.
whole process. And next time, maybe we'll have a guy out in the parking lot to say, hey, this is how you change a tire,
Yeah.
and just some of that life exposure. And I, how many people could we handle? I'll be happy if I get a dozen. I'd be thrilled to death if we have the problem of we have way too many kids that we can handle.
Yeah.
That would be a good problem to have.
For sure.
Transportation is going to be an issue. Obviously, a lot of these kids are in the age group that don't have a license yet, but, and maybe it would give them some exposure, the younger group, some exposure to some older kids that are responsible and are of good character, and probably some good people to know and be friends with.
It'd be a good mentor for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody they're going to see in school and
Right.
somebody to help them out.
Yeah. And if they have a problem, or, whatever scenario you want to create, it gives them somebody else that they can go to.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic.
So
program.
we're hoping to get that off the ground. Actually, hopefully yet this month. I'm starting. I learn every day, and I'm learning that people don't want to read much of anything, which I understand that.
Cliff Notes.
Yeah, but they'll watch a video. So, we do the on the road series that we have our own YouTube channel, and I'll interview kind of like what you're doing here, and we'll post it on YouTube. People will watch a video, but they don't want to read it all.
Yep.
So I'm hoping sometime in the next month I'll be able to find the time to do a video that kind of just lays out the basics of this program, to pique some interest, generate some questions, because I know there's questions out there that I have not answered in all the written material, and that's impossible. But yeah, we're going to try to get that kicked off the ground. I have high hopes. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's like any other program that you create. You're never going to have a kid that's going to say, I was going to go rob that bank, but I didn't because of this. Just like your police presence, you're never going to have somebody wave you down to say, "Well, it's a good thing you're here because I was getting ready to break into that store."
Right.
You're never going to know. But if you do an entire program and it helped one kid, then it was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, I think anytime you can engage the youth, it's a benefit. Busy kids are good kids, and especially if they're doing good things like that.
yeah, and there's a lot to be said about the sports programs, the 4-H programs, and different youth programs, and we will gladly take any of those kids that want to be involved with. But there's also a large group of kids that they want to be involved, but sports isn't their thing. Maybe they think that if I'm in 4-H, I have to have a farm and stuff like that. And that's not what that's about. But will it provide an avenue for kids that want to belong and want to do something and want to be involved, that They haven't taken the opportunity to do it with anybody else.
Yeah.
So maybe if we're a starting point,
Yep.
and then we get them, maybe that's, as we're sitting here, I'm making mental notes that, okay, maybe we'll get some 4-H leaders in there too, to expose the kids to, you don't have to have a farm and have to have, a tractor and a bunch of cows to be in 4-H.
Yeah. They do a ton of other
Oh
things,
yeah. All
right?
kinds
Yeah.
of stuff.
I just that whole tire changing thing, if you don't have a mother or father at home, or aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, whatever it is that taught you how to change a tire on a day like today out on Highway 41,
Oh yeah.
knowing how to do that might be a big game changer for
Oh,
you.
absolutely. If nothing else, a money saver.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to cost you, I don't know. I don't even know how much it costs you to get somebody to come out and change your tire, and a lot of it, and this isn't against anybody. It's just the world that we're in. There's a lot of parents that don't know how to change a tire anymore either.
Yep.
It's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because tires are better than they used to be.
That is possible. And you got all these monitors on them and everything else too.
Right.
But I mean, if we're being honest, this is probably biased of me, but nowadays kids going to YouTube it and they're gonna be like, I don't even know how to do that. Google will tell me, until you're somewhere that you don't have cell service, I guess.
Right. Exactly.
Well, good. I hope that helps or takes off. And if I can be of assistance or anything, you let me know.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because if we're fortunate enough that this program grows, we're going to look for some adult volunteers too.
Okay.
Because again, we're a relatively small sheriff's office, and the guys have families too.
Yep.
And their days off, they need to be doing family things. So I'm probably going to be looking for some adult volunteers to help out and different programs and stuff like that too. So that would be great.
So I told you we get back to this question as far as like hiring and challenges with that. And if a kid was to come to you today, a high school kid, say a senior, not really sure what they want to do the rest of their life, and one of the ideas in their head is, hey, I want to be in law enforcement. What advice would you have for that young person?
Okay, you're probably going to have to remind me of the question, because I'm going to go somewhere else.
Okay.
And answer to that. So when I get down, you're going to say you still never answered my question.
Okay.
This is a job that I really am starting to get the impression nobody wants to do anymore. Okay. Maybe it's the pay. Maybe it's the media has painted us to be something that we're not. There's 1,000 different reasons. Again, part of that may go back to nobody really incorporates service into anything, so they don't want to do it.
Right.
So the applicant pools are nothing like what they used to be. And I'm not going to name different cities, but even our applicant pool isn't what it used to be. The big room at the government center, I can remember a couple of times we filled that up with applicants in there for testing. And now you don't get that. Some different cities that I've talked to that pay pretty well, have pretty good benefit programs, that used to get a couple hundred applicants are, in fact, again, without naming the city, I just talked to their lieutenant not too long ago, and he said they got 3 applications.
Wow.
Which they usually would have had 90.
Wow.
At a minimum, they had 3 applicants. So part of it is, people not wanting to do it. And again, why is it? Well, let's get them exposed to it a little bit to remind them. It's not what you see on TV. It's not cops. It sure isn't anything like that that you see on TV. But if somebody, whatever their age group, and even if it's an adult saying, how do I get involved? Well, depending on your age, obviously you got to be 21 to be even considered for a police officer position. But at 18, you can start working corrections. Dispatch is an amazing job. I worked it myself, so I can say that.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Because, and again, I talk about we're blessed with great officers and COs, and we have, even though the dispatch is no longer under the sheriff's office, they're their own entity. We have some of the best dispatchers I've ever encountered. And think about this. Every call that comes in, that's the first point of contact.
Sure.
And whether it's a car off in the ditch, it's a crash, it's a domestic, the dispatcher sets the tone for how that call is going to go. And if they come across that radio all excited and fired up and, running around with their chicken with their head cut off, everybody's going to react the way they've set that tone.
Yep.
And we have some of the calmest dispatchers that I've ever heard. And it sets everything's level. It's just a call. We're going to handle this. We're going to take care of it. And so the point in that is that if you're 18 and you really can't get into law enforcement yet, dispatch. whether it's full time or part time, whatever. It's good exposure to find out, you know, what this is about. And a person that learns whether corrections or dispatch, by the time they become a police officer or get to the road, they've already got half the game down
Yeah.
because they know how all the radio stuff works or they know how the jail stuff works. So that works well. If it's youth, I'm going to say you got to hang around the right people. And, we teach a DARE program. I've been teaching DARE's my, seventh year. I think this is my seventh year teaching the DARE. Yeah. Because, my first kids will graduate next year. So the first kids I had as fifth graders will now graduate next year.
Okay.
So, we talk a lot to the kids about, you got to hang around with the right people. And sometimes that means you need to be alone or just hang out at home. Just don't expose yourself to people that make poor decisions. So if law enforcement is somewhere in your possibility of a career path, obviously you need to hang out with people that aren't going to get you in trouble. Right. Yeah. I think that would be the biggest thing. I was never a really good student. My teachers probably said I didn't apply myself enough, but I learned.
Yeah.
And, it probably took me to my freshman year before I realized, okay, yeah, I have a little bit of a problem paying attention, so I have to take notes. And, every training I go to, I'll be the one sitting up front taking notes because that forces me to pay attention and get something out of it. So if a person recognizes themselves to be that way, that I have a hard time focusing or paying attention, let's work on it. Figure out how to take notes, or just, you can't really teach responsibility. It's there. You just got to start scratching that surface to uncover what they have the potential to do.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a potentially tough question here. If you think back over your career and where, this ain't the right word, but I'm going to say political environment is as it relates to police officers, would you choose to do your career over again?
Here, I would 1,000 times.
Good.
We work for a good community. I honestly, I don't know that I'd want to do this job anywhere else. We've had people that have worked for us and gone to a different agency in a different environment and decided, I want to be back in Newton County. We work for good people.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'd want to do this job anywhere else.
So sounds like you would definitely recommend a young person getting into law enforcement around here, especially. And I think that's great. The whole cancel the police thing that you see on the media and stuff is just, it's frustrating because I think those people would also say that when they needed to pick up the phone and call and needed your help, they would hope that somebody answered that call.
Right.
And lastly, maybe I'll end on, I think there is a part-time or full-time dispatcher job available right now as well.
Right.
So if anybody's listening and interested.
Yeah, that'd be and even if you're not interested in working the road and being in law enforcement, if you want to help people and get paid for it, dispatch it's the way to go.
Yeah.
Again, I worked it. It was a lot of long nights and stuff like that, but to me, it was very rewarding that I'm not the one going to be helping you, but I know where you're at, what your problem is, how to get you help. I can talk you through it. If I have to give you CPR instructions, I got you.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding. It can be very hectic too, but
yeah, no, for sure. And I recall seeing a video a long time ago. I can't remember. It was probably on Facebook or something, but a dispatcher basically saved a kid's life and was teaching the parent how to do CPR. The kid had drowned or something. And I think the dispatcher ended up getting invited to the graduation party.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to talking about an emotional roller coaster. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And through my career, I've had the privilege of going in and building relationships with dispatchers and stuff. And I think it's a tough job. Like anybody that thinks it's easy, it's not. But I think it'd be a rewarding career.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All righty. Last question, or I guess topic to talk about here is Corporal Schreiber, the incident that happened earlier last year now. Anything you want to talk about there? I know that's a tough subject for sure.
Yeah. Um, for now, all I'm going to say is, again, I'm going to use that phrase of we're blessed. We were blessed with I mean, that was very unfortunate circumstances. Like a lot of things, it didn't need to happen. It just straight up did not need to happen. We'll never be able to answer the questions as to why. It's that simple. We've been blessed with a good community. I mean, you still see all the blue ribbons around.
Yeah.
The prayer vigils, just the amount of support for not only our office and deputies and everybody else, but for the family has been phenomenal. And sadly, tragedy, people will come out, and this community has always been great for helping those that, well, one, they have to know about it.
Right.
They have to know what's going on to be able to help. But they've always been phenomenal at coming out to helping their neighbors. And for now, all I'm going to say is we were very fortunate to have the community and the people that we
have. Yeah, for sure. That kind of gets me onto the point. So, seen on Facebook, January 25th, Lake Village. There's a fundraiser going on there. I'm just going to put a plug in for it. I think they're accepting beer donations, large type auction items, gift baskets, any monetary donations, and all those proceeds are going to go to Katie,
right,
which is his wife.
Right. Yes, that Lake Village knows how to put on a benefit too. I've been to several there,
Okay.
and you'll be bumping shoulder to shoulder. There'll be a lot of people there. But yeah, they're taking donations for any auction items, things like that. Even if you just want to go and get something to eat and be around other people, you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to come and write a check or whatever. Just be around some other people is good for you too.
Yeah.
But all the proceeds will go to help the family, and January 25th.
Yep. Last question I got for you. What didn't we talk about that you wanted to touch on?
I don't know. I think we covered pretty much what we could for now. I guess I have a question for you.
Yeah, hit me.
Is if we can get this youth service program off the bat, I think it'd be kind of cool to bring one of those kids in at some point, let them kind of explain what they got out of it, how it's going, and let them recruit their friends into this as well. Because the only way you're going to know if any type of program is a success is to get some of that feedback and honest feedback at that. So that'd be my request for you is give it some consideration to coming back.
Yeah. No, we could do like a little mini series too. Maybe I can do up to 3 guests. So myself and 3 other people.
Oh my.
And if we want to bring 3 of them in and just, hey, what are your expectations at the start? And maybe at the end, wrap it up and say, hey, did you get out of it what you wanted? I have no issue with that. I think it'd be kind of fun too, just see what they think and go from there. I think you're on the right track, at least from my perspective. I think anytime you can get engaged, and whether it's law enforcement, whoever, the idea of bringing a judge in, that may spur the interest of a kid to be like, hey, I want to do that when I get older.
Right.
And maybe that helps set their career path.
Right. I have 2 boys, and they went into the military, and that is definitely an option. That's an amazing service to volunteer to go into the service and get stationed God knows where. And I consider myself very, very fortunate that I had my oldest boy. He was a combat medic. He did a couple tours in Iraq. He got stationed at a couple different places. My other boy, my youngest boy, was stationed in Italy. And the whole time that they were in the service, I was scared that they're going to stay in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'll like it there and stay there. So I was very fortunate that both my boys came back. They bought houses here. They live here. They got into the trades. One's an electrician. One's a plumber.
Perfect.
Care to guess how much money they've saved me over the years?
A lot. A lot.
Yeah. But, and just like that, there's a lot of good trades out there that we're losing those people.
Yeah.
And we're losing them. And if we don't do something, I'd love to have, one of these youth service meetings, get somebody from the steel mills. Have them come in and what's it like to work I mean, I don't even know. What's it like
Yeah.
to work in the steel mill? Let them explain that. The electricians, the plumber, anybody in the trades, get them in there and give that exposure to these kids of, it's not just what you see. And growing up, um, especially when I grew up, you were really limited you didn't know what was out there. You
Yeah.
only knew what you saw. And there's so much out there that people don't know. And now, I mean, I couldn't even tell you do you have any idea how many home-based businesses there are and
Oh, yeah.
computer-related stuff that I have no idea. We'll have to get people in there and get them exposed to that. The kids probably know more of those answers than somebody my age
Yeah.
does. But yeah, we got to get them exposed to different things. And you mentioned Dustin's name enough time. Now I'm going to say it.
Uh-oh.
So Dustin, he back to the service program for Beaverfest.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dustin would love to have a group of kids volunteer to come in and help pick up the trash and kind of keep things organized, set up tables, take down tables, stuff like that. So it's not just to benefit us as much as it would be a benefit during the fair booth time. But they benefit the towns too. It's just a group of kids that you can trust. Give them a job. They're going to go knock it out, and they're going to do it right. So, I have high hopes. We'll see where we get.
Yeah. No, I think you're spot on. I think Dustin would totally agree. We just moved here in November, and then that happened. The Beaver Fest happened, and my wife and I and my kids, what little help they were, but they got to be out there. We helped set up block roads the night before and tear down and put up and stuff. And we were I'm not saying I did a lot, because I didn't, but I know they're looking for help for that. And what a cool event to get involved with. And
Oh yeah,
like you said, I know like anybody that's involved with Boy Scouts, they need to have some type of community service type of a thing. And I think that word has a negative connotation to it, the community service, because you think somebody got in trouble and that's why they got to go do it. But, there's a lot of things. The college resume, you hit on that earlier. I mean, even a professional resume, if you want to get into the trades, and it's like, hey, look what I've done already, even though it's not a formal job, but I volunteered my time to go work.
Right.
That looks good on any resume. And I'll step back too and get into the trades thing. That's where I started my career. I started as an electrician, an instrumentation and electrical technician technically, and after that, then I decided to go back to school and get my 4-year degree and stuff. And there's a lot of options there. And Micro does a podcast, and Micro does a lot for the trades. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Dirty Jobs Micro?
Yeah, Dirty Jobs Micro. He does a lot. He actually has a scholarship for that and stuff. And it's I don't know if you've tried hiring somebody to come do something lately, but it's tough to find. And I don't know if COVID impacted it or what's changed that, but it is really difficult to get a trades person to come do some work because there's just not that many of them anymore.
No, there's not. And you touch on COVID, and I don't want to get down that wormhole, but I don't think we'll know the impacts of COVID for more years to come yet.
Yeah.
But, Newton County, for years, you had your electricians, your plumbers, your tradespeople that you could hire, and they've gotten older. They've retired. They're not doing it anymore.
Yep.
And they need people to replace them.
Yep.
It's just something that we've got to get that exposure out there one way or the other. And again, I've been blessed that my kids came back home. Every kid, you included, myself included, when you get out of high school, what do you want? I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
I want to get out of here.
Yep.
But then when you start to realize, even though little old Newton County, we still have a lot to offer, and it's home.
Mm-hmm.
And, we mentioned earlier that we don't have 87 restaurants to choose from for where you want to go for dinner, but there are so many local, just like the breakfast at the Morocco Legion the other Sunday morning. Yep. There's different, Lake Village does some community chicken fish fries. Brook does a fish fry. Every community, pancake breakfast, fire department stuff. It's a great way to go support that organization.
Yep. And
you still get to go have fish and whatever.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of things out there that people need to recognize that, it may be a local little breakfast, but it's a huge impact.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's good food.
And you can go back and get extra. Right?
Yeah. No, the breakfast at the Legion was amazing. Well, cool. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Well, I just want to say thanks for your time, and
I appreciate the opportunity.
going and doing this. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Much. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you liked what you heard, or even if you didn't, I hope you will like and follow the show and join us next time. If you have someone you want us to talk to or you want to hear from, or whatever organization that might be, shoot us an email at nci92@outlook.com. We'll try and get them on the show. Thank you. See you next time.